So as you guys may know, I am now back in school for the first time in about 2 years. And this past week was my first full week of school. It was quite the long week of math, science, and engineering, so I kind of wanted to flex my creative muscle this weekend. Shoot some nice cinematic B-roll and just mentally reset for the next week. So with all that being said, welcome to another Saturday documenting and filming my 20s. Alright, it is raining today, but I'm up early. I'm grabbing coffee with a friend of mine who also goes to the school. Funny enough, for the last couple years when I was here at school, I was working with this media company. Think of it like the school yearbook club. I would go out to like all the school sports, the events and stuff, take photos, and then these things would be published on social media in the yearbook. And I was doing like photography there, and he was actually my manager. So that was actually one fun way that I was able to keep doing this creative stuff while being here in school doing courses. But yeah, it's been like 2 years since the last time I talked to this guy, but we've both been like pursuing more creative stuff on the side. So we're grabbing coffee and we're gonna pick each other's brains for like what we've been up to, fun projects and stuff like that. I always say this, but it's just so inspiring to talk to other people doing creative things and hear about their creative projects. And yeah, it also gets me out of the house. I wish it wasn't raining though.
This one I was really disappointed. There's a single boat there. But yeah, like you totally lose that. I like this photo. That one.
All right, heading back home now to do a little bit of shooting. So like I said, that was actually my old manager, my old boss from when I was working at that studio here on campus. And yeah, it's been a long time since I last talked to him. So we both worked on a lot of different projects since then. And he actually just told me that he did a year of freelance. I didn't actually know that. I thought he was doing it with school, but he actually took a gap year to do a year of freelance photography in Toronto, which is really cool. Again, always so inspiring and motivating whenever I meet and talk to other creative people. Building off that inspiration, I'm gonna go home and start shooting. So this thing right here is a gimbal. And if you don't know what a gimbal does, basically you mount your camera on this and it helps you stabilize your footage. It has all these different axes here, so when you get it right, you put your camera on there and you can walk around and get super stable footage for all of you people with very shaky hands. And the one that I'm holding right here is the ZHIYUN CINEPEER WEEBILL 3E, which was sent to me. But what I actually wanted to do today was go out and shoot with this thing. So myself personally, in the past when I've shot with gimbals, I've never found myself too fond of them just because of the size. But here, this thing is actually tiny. And I just put this tripod grip on here, which is detachable, but if I were to rock this thing solo, this is tiny. So if I were to put my camera on here and walk around for a day, this would not be intrusive at all. And you know, when I go out shooting, one of the most annoying things is having too much gear, having gear that doesn't work, or having too complicated of gear to actually get the shot that you end up missing it. So having small compact tools like this that actually fit in my backpack is really important to me when I'm out shooting. So I'm gonna set this thing up and take it out and go shoot. Luckily, the rain has stopped and there's actually sunlight outside. Also today on campus is like a sidewalk sale. It happens at the beginning of every year. So there should be a lot of students and people out walking around, which will give a nice atmosphere and vibe to the videos. Alright, so I've been shooting on this gimbal for like the last hour, just walking around. Like I said, there's like that beginning of the semester sale going on, so there's a ton of people over there. And being able to walk through the crowd holding a gimbal and getting super steady footage is kind of insane, because if you think about it, every time I take a step, that's a chance for there to be a little camera jitter. With this plus stabilization in your camera or lens, it's basically impossible to tell that, you know, I'm not on a dolly. It also is my first time here in Kingston shooting B-roll in a while, so that's also really fun because, you know, I feel like a broken record every time I say this, but it is so important for me in my videos to have B-roll in between all of my talking segments. And a lot of the times what I'm doing is not going out every single day in between each talking segment to shoot. I kind of just bulk shoot. So I'll be like, today, Saturday, I'm gonna go out and get these locations, this many shots, and then I'll use those same shots for the next 3 or 4 videos. And if you think about doing that that over a long period of time. Like when I was in Chicago, I basically had like 5 or 6 sets of video footage to pull from every time I needed B-roll. So that made it really helpful in my last video when it was like a week long. And obviously I didn't go out and shoot B-roll every single day, but because I had so much stored and I don't delete any footage, it's easy to kind of pluck around and choose exactly what shots I want in those videos. But in terms of using this gimbal, things that I like, well, first of all, like I said, I really like the size. When I'm walking around with this, you guys saw there's a lot of people, and when I was walking through the sale, I didn't feel, you know, super out of place, and I also feel like people don't feel intimidated by this kind of setup. Also, the weight of the entire system, it's super light, so holding it out like this and filming, doing these huge panning shots or push in, pull out shots are not tiring on my arms, especially the forearms. I mentioned in a previous video that I was once filming this music concert and I was literally so weak, this is before I started hitting the gym, I was so weak that by the end of those days my arms were hurting so bad. And for a good chunk of that, I actually was shooting on a gimbal setup and doing lots of the same motions I was doing today. And yeah, my arms were absolutely killing me by the end of that weekend. So with this sort of setup, I really don't have to worry about that. And of course it's a gimbal, so it's gonna do all the regular gimbal things such as, you know, you got your pan stick, I got my tilt, and also cool thing that I haven't really experimented too much with is this roll feature. Woo. Which kind of just allows you to get really creative with whatever sort of shots you're dealing with. You know, a lot of the times I'll kind of just stick to the basic panning left and right, but depending on the shoot you're doing and the style you're going for, you can get really creative with all of the different axes of motion here. Also, I have to give a shout out to the battery life of this thing. I've been shooting for the last little bit, as you guys have seen, and the battery markers hasn't even gone down 1 tick yet, and allegedly it's supposed to last 16 hours, which is kind of crazy, but right now it's on the right path. On previous gimbals that I've used, sometimes you have to like plug in a little cable to your camera to be able to access all the features, but this is all via Bluetooth. So yeah, overall I'm pretty happy with this product, and I could definitely see it being part of my everyday carry. If I know that I'm going out and going to be shooting tons of B-roll, I really don't see why I wouldn't fit this gimbal in my backpack. It's just so compact. So what else is up for today? It is Saturday, and like I said, today I'm trying to make it a very creative day and not focus too much on school. Luckily, the first week of class just wrapped up, so none of the assignments and labs have really kicked off just yet, so I have a little bit of time before I really have to worry about those things. I do want to get ahead on a little bit of editing though. Alright, I have been editing for the last few hours, but right now, about dinner time, walking over to this place to grab some food with my other roommates. They're not with me right now, but they're meeting me there.
I would do it for you, for you, for you, for you, for you. I would do it for you, for you, for you, for you.
Oh, scroll up. Okay, that's good. This mix. Okay.
Would you do it for me, for me, for me, for me, for me?
You guys see that? No. What about now? 10:53. But I've been editing here at my desk for ever since that last clip where we got food, got dinner, I've been sitting here editing. Honestly, today has actually been quite the enjoyable day. It's always a good day to me when I can go out, shoot, and then do this creative stuff. Like, I feel like I'm super fortunate in life to have found the thing that I believe I'm super passionate about so early on in life. I have been making videos genuinely for so long. I could probably find like an old video from, I don't know, I might have been like 8 or 9. And I know that that 9-year-old kid me would have no idea that, you know, 20 years down the line, more like 13 years down the line, I would still be sitting here making videos. And yeah, I feel like if that younger kid knew what this guy was up to now, he'd be pretty proud. Being back in school obviously does eat up a good chunk of my time, especially over the summer when YouTube really was my only thing that I was working on. Every day I would wake up, plan videos, shoot videos, and edit videos, and do a little bit of traveling as well. And that was super fun, but it really was like an escape, an artist retreat. I said that in an older video, that the way I treated it really was just a time to work on my personal stuff. And the truth is that that life was super good, but the reality is that I knew I was coming back to school. When I left the school like 2.5 years ago, I knew that one day I would have to come back and complete the degree. And now is that time. But honestly, I'm super glad that I took that time off, because if I didn't, first of all, I probably wouldn't be making these kinds of videos right now. I wouldn't have this camera. I wouldn't have upgraded my camera. I definitely couldn't afford to upgrade my camera without that job. And also I just wouldn't have the same outlook on life. You know, I haven't really talked about this on these videos that much, but the main reason that I left university to go on that internship was just because I didn't really know what I was doing with my life, so I just needed to do something different. And I did. For like 2 years, I was able to just work on myself and figure out who I was as an adult outside of school. Like, school really is such a short period of our lives but when you're in it, it really feels like it's your entire life. Whether you pass or fail a course really does feel like the end of the world, when in reality, it isn't. And as stupid as it sounds, this is a mindset that I've really only now achieved after taking the time away from school. I am trying to work towards that consistent upload schedule, especially with, you know, juggling school and everything. So tonight, it's 11 now, unfortunately, I think I'm going to be pulling quite the late night color grading this video right here. So thank you guys so much for tuning in again. If you guys want to check out the gimbal that I was using to shoot all that earlier stuff, I'll have it linked at the top of the description. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.